Remember when I said that pushing and pulling, so my specialty that I compete in is the bench press. You've seen people come back, and grab the barbell, and we come down to where it touches the chest, and we have up to a second hold, and then we push it out, lock our elbows, and then we'll say re-rack it and re-rack it. So bench press is great. I mean, it's not just a chest exercise, it works out the legs. I'm pushing my legs into the ground as hard as I can while keeping my rear end on that bench and not moving my neck. And I'm fatigued off my entire body, my abs, everything. Well, just like any properly done exercise uses the whole body, any type of pushing, we have to train at pulling. But in this case, a great way to train the opposite. So what's opposite of pushing or flies or building our pectoralis muscles or anterior deltoids, pectoralis minor, pectoralis major, and some of the anterior deltoids that, again, start to people have problems, and some big time weightlifters will actually tear their pectoralis muscles. And if you just search on my favorite search engine, DuckDuckGo, but if you just search that and just say torn pec muscle, torn pectoralis muscle, there's a lot of tales of woe and misery, because once that's torn, or rotator cuff injury is torn, it's tough to bounce back from. And while it doesn't end your life, but it does end a lifting career, or at the very least, creates it very difficult. So in the previous episode, or previous vlog that I put out there, was the rotator, or the shoulder horn strengthening exercise. This one, and a lot of my favorite exercises, are done with resistance bands. And you can see this one here is a purple one. This one's made by, or at least marketed by, Westside Barbell. But if you go to westsidebarbell.com, they're in Ohio, and Louis Simmons is the owner and proprietor of that. And Louis is in his low 70s. I think he's 72 now. Louis, if I get this wrong, and if you see this, sorry. But Louis is a well-known, I mean internationally renowned powerlifter and coach of some of the strongest people in the world in the powerlifting community in London, Ohio, just north of, or just by Columbus. And he's not the only one that uses this. These are made by a variety of different companies, but again, in no particular recommendation, but Westside Barbell has these. Sorinex.com, SORINEX.com has these, and so does Elite Fitness, also known as EliteFTS.com, have these resistance bands, as well as many other companies. They come in different sizes. I mean, we have these here, which is minimal resistance, which is great to start out for people that are just starting a provider or medical provider approved stretching and exercise program, to this, and I've got them where to here, I've got them to where they're 6 inches wide, and I use that basically for just full body weight stretches or traction. So this one is approximately 70 pounds once you start to increase it, but the resistance obviously increases the further they're stretched apart, like any other rubber band. This particular exercise I'd like to show you strengthens the opposite of the push. So this is a pull, and again strengthens the muscles between the shoulder blades. And as you see, I'm pulling my shoulder blades together, and now I'm apart. And what does that do? When they're apart or weak, we slouch. When they're together, we have good posture. And when we have good posture, it takes stress off of our shoulder. And so all of this is related. Louis Simmons calls this conjugate training, which essentially states that one system has to be equally strong to the other, whether it be opposing or adjacent. When one system in the chain gets either too weak, too tight, the other systems around it and the opposite systems that oppose it will be injured. Or at the very least, if they don't get injured, you're not going to get as strong, or you're not going to get as flexible. So again, what I use, one of the many things, are these resistance bands. You can buy them in a pack, to the tiniest, very thin ones, which are just a few pounds in resistance, to ridiculously thick ones, which I only use to do traction and lay in a full body weight of 200 plus pounds. So this one, we're going to exercise. This helps me to try to maintain the strength of my posterior interscapular muscles, because when I bench press, If I don't pull my shoulders again, I'm pulling my shoulders together before I even lift that bar off the bench supports. I pull that in. What that does is it takes a lot of the pressure off this part of the shoulder, which is where a lot of force is going to be once the 150 plus kilos or 300 plus pounds is on my chest. So pull it in, bring it off the bar, and I'm keeping those shoulder blades pinched together the whole time, or at least that's what's in my mind. And this keeps everything balanced and keeps the shoulders from being overused and prevents injury, and also gets that weight off my chest and helps me develop a proper push without injuring myself. So a good way is, I don't know what to call this. I think I saw someone call it the hitchhiker strengthening, but either way, I call this the shoulder blade strengthening exercise. So we take a band. This one's pretty thick, of any choice. Again, we can get a thin one here, I can show you, but I just put it in my hands, kind of like a hitchhiker. I'm hitchhiking, but I keep my hands open. And I stretch out my arms until the elbows are straight and locked. And I just come across the strap. And I come back, nice and slow. And bring as far back as I can, keeping my neck in good position. Like so. You don't want to go too slow, and you don't want to go too fast. Here's a side view, I'll show you. Just coming here, and I'm coming back as far like this. And there we go. Make sure that's in frame. There we go there. And we're gonna breathe. I sometimes forget to do that. Breathing is not optional. Two more. So when you're doing that, you should feel it, not in your neck, but in your, right about, I feel it about this high as here, right at the top of the suprascapular area, and then all the way down to just below my shoulder blades. That will that will actually loosen, but stretch out some of these upper tendons and muscles and ligaments, while at the same time directly strengthening your extensor, your shoulder extensions, and your shoulder stabilizers. So these two exercises, the shoulder horn, as well as the band, the shoulder blade band exercises, or the shoulder blade strengthening exercises using resistance bands, are two of the ways that I both stretch and I strengthen at the same time. That so far, knock on this block of wood here, has prevented me from getting pectoralis tear, shoulder tear, rotator cuff injury, or anything serious. Again, is it luck? Is it genetics? Is it a matter of time? I don't know, but I'm going to try to do what I can to be as proactive as I can, and that's what I recommend. People that ask me, what do I do? This is what I do to try to advance my strength training program and also stay as healthy as possible for everyday life, because no, I do not live for a living. I try to help people for a living, so this would be hard to do if I'm working on somebody I can't even move my shoulder. So with that, I wish you a good year in 2021, and I also wish a very safe, healthy, and happy 2021 to all of you, for those of you who check this out. And if you have any questions, just please post them.